The food was still warm on the table, a half-eaten breakfast waiting, but not a single soul remained on the Mary Celeste. The ship, perfectly sound, drifted aimlessly across the Atlantic, an empty shell, a floating enigma. There was no sign of struggle, no distress, just a profound, unsettling absence. Every single person aboard had vanished into thin air. In this deep dive, you will confront the cold, hard facts of maritime history's most baffling case. We will dissect the official findings, scrutinize the inexplicable evidence discovered on that ghost ship, and explore the theories that have haunted investigators for over a century. Prepare to question everything you thought you knew about the limits of reality. The story of the Mary Celeste begins not with her disappearance, but with her discovery. It was December the 4th, 1872, when the British brigantine Dei Gratia, under the command of Captain David Morehouse, spotted a vessel acting strangely some 600 miles off the coast of Portugal. Morehouse, a seasoned sailor, noted her erratic course, the sails set, yet clearly without proper command. Something was deeply wrong. He ordered a small boarding party, led by his first mate, Oliver Deveau, to investigate. What Deveau and his crew found upon stepping onto the deck of the Mary Celeste would etch this ship into the annals of the unexplained. The vessel was in perfect sailing condition. Her rigging was mostly intact, the sails well trimmed, and the hull showed no signs of damage. Yet the silence was deafening. No one responded to their calls. The ship was deserted. This was not a wreck, it was a void. The Mary Celeste had departed from New York City on November the 7th, 1872, bound for Genoa, Italy. On board were Captain Benjamin Briggs, his wife Sarah, their 2-year-old daughter Sophia, and a crew of 7 experienced seamen. Their cargo, 1,701 barrels of industrial alcohol. A standard voyage, a common cargo, a routine journey. Yet somewhere between the Azores and Portugal, an impossible event had unfolded. The official inquiry into the abandonment of the Mary Celeste commenced in Gibraltar. Attorney General Frederick Solly Flood, who presided over the investigation, found himself wrestling with a puzzle that defied conventional explanation. His initial suspicions leaned towards foul play, perhaps insurance fraud, or even mutiny. Yet, as the days turned into weeks, the evidence refused to fit neatly into any of these grim narratives. The very structure of the discovery seemed to contradict every logical conclusion. So, if the ship was seaworthy, the cargo largely intact, and no obvious disaster had occurred, what could possibly explain the complete and utter disappearance of an entire crew and family? What could compel seasoned sailors, with their captain and his loved ones, to abandon a perfectly good vessel in the vast, unforgiving ocean? This is where the true horror of the Mary Celeste truly begins to unfurl. The scene discovered by Oliver Deveau aboard that phantom vessel was one of unfathomable incongruity. Below deck, the captain's cabin held a half-eaten breakfast on the table. The dishes were still out. In the galley, a kettle was found, its contents long since cold. There was no forced entry, no signs of a struggle. Personal belongings were untouched. Captain Briggs's navigation instruments, his sextant and chronometer, were missing, but his expensive telescope remained in its case. His desk contained ship's papers, logs, and other documents, all meticulously organized. Sarah Briggs's sewing machine, her piano, the child's toys, everything was precisely as it should have been. It was a snapshot of a moment abruptly yet silently interrupted. The ship's single lifeboat was gone. Its davits, the small cranes used to lower it, were swung out. This suggested a deliberate evacuation, not a panicked scramble from a sinking ship. Yet there was no record of any storm severe enough to warrant such an action. The ship's main hatch was unsecured, and the forward hatch was ajar, as if someone had recently been below. This was unusual for a ship in transit, as hatches are typically secured against the elements. But it wasn't the presence of things that was so chilling, it was the absence, the most crucial missing piece of all, the ship's logbook. While previous entries were up to date, the final entry was dated November 25th, 9 days before the day Gratia found her. This 9-day gap, an entire week and a half of silent, inexplicable drift, offered no clues, no final desperate messages, just a sudden, abrupt end to the documented journey. The sea had swallowed her secrets whole. Think about it, an experienced captain, his family, a skilled crew, abandoning their vessel on the open ocean. Why? There was no gaping hole in the hull, no fire, no major storm damage. The pumps were working, the compass was still in place. How could a group of people, entrusted with their lives and valuable cargo, simply choose to vanish from a perfectly sound ship? The sheer illogical nature of it has driven countless investigations to dead ends. The official report from the Gibraltar Vice Admiralty Court ultimately declared the abandonment unexplained. This wasn't a case of no clear answer, but no answer that makes any sense at all. Over the decades, a parade of theories has attempted to fill the vacuum of information left by the Mary Celeste. Each one aims to impose a rational explanation on an utterly irrational event, and each, ultimately, falls short. One of the earliest and most sensational theories proposed was piracy, the idea that ruthless buccaneers boarded the ship, massacred the crew, and then absconded with their bodies, leaving the vessel to drift. This theory gained traction due to the value of the cargo and the lack of a crew. However, it fails on multiple fronts. The cargo of raw alcohol, while valuable, was completely untouched. Pirates typically plunder all valuables, yet expensive items like Briggs's telescope remained. There were no signs of a struggle, no bloodstains, no bullet holes, none of the chaos one would expect from a violent takeover. The ship was eerily pristine. Then there's the theory of mutiny. Perhaps the crew turned on Captain Briggs, seized control of the vessel, and then escaped in the lifeboat. But again, the lack of struggle is a critical flaw. Captain Briggs was a respected, experienced leader, known for treating his crew well. There was no recorded history of discontent. Moreover, where would a mutinous crew go in an open lifeboat in the middle of the Atlantic without any supplies or a clear destination? It seems an act of ultimate self-destruction rather than a planned rebellion. A more plausible, yet still unsatisfactory theory suggests a seaquake or waterspout. The idea here is that a sudden, violent seismic event or a massive waterspout struck the ship, terrifying the crew into believing the vessel was about to capsize or break apart. In a panic, they would have launched the lifeboat and tried to escape, only to be overwhelmed by the rough seas. While waterspouts are real and the ocean can be unpredictable, the fact remains that the Mary Celeste was found in excellent condition. There was no structural damage that indicated a catastrophic impact, no broken masts, no ruptured hull. Even if a sudden tremor occurred, it evidently didn't compromise the ship's integrity enough to justify such an extreme, irreversible abandonment. Perhaps the most widely discussed explanation, especially amongst maritime historians, centers around the cargo of industrial alcohol. The theory posits that some of the barrels, which were of unpurified alcohol, might have leaked. This could have created dangerous, explosive fumes in the ship's hold. Captain Briggs, fearing an imminent explosion, would have ordered the ship to be evacuated. He and his crew might have tied the lifeboat to the Mary Celeste, waiting for the danger to pass, only for a sudden squall or unexpected swell to break the rope, sending them adrift and away from the larger vessel. This would explain the missing lifeboat and the urgency of the abandonment. However, this still leaves crucial questions unanswered. If they believed an explosion was imminent, why was the breakfast left half-eaten? Why were personal belongings not secured? And if they were tethered, why was no evidence of a broken rope found, or indeed the lifeboat itself? The pieces simply refuse to interlock. Every explanation, every theory, no matter how elaborate, crumbles when confronted with the chilling simplicity of the facts: a perfectly good ship, a vanished crew, and not a single discernible cause. This isn't just a fascinating historical anecdote, it represents a profound challenge to our innate need for order, for cause and effect. It forces you to confront the limits of human understanding, to admit that some events simply defy the logical frameworks we build to comprehend our world. The Mary Celeste doesn't just ask what happened, it makes you wonder if there are forces at play, events unfolding, that exist entirely outside our grasp of rationality. It's a permanent scar on the fabric of reality, a reminder that the world holds mysteries that remain stubbornly, terrifyingly unsolved. This journey into the unexplained has just begun. Join us next time as we delve into another chilling, officially documented case where the evidence defies explanation and the truth remains hidden. The secrets of this world are waiting.